And here we go.
When we talk about the radical move to the left by the Democratic Party, it is obvious from yesterday's elections that this is the case. So yesterday, a guy named Joseph Crowley was ousted. He was expected to challenge Nancy Pelosi for the speakership. So how old is the Democratic Party? Nancy Pelosi is 78 years old. Joe Crowley, who is 58 years old, right, he's just slightly younger than my dad. Joe Crowley was seen as the heir apparent to Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, the Democrats got to get Nancy Pelosi out of there somehow, man. They got to get her ass out of there somehow. But who do you replace her with? That's...
So he was the up-and-comer. He was the fresh face, the 58-year-old. Well, he was ousted yesterday in a Democratic primary by a woman named Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's 28.
Remember that name, folks. Remember that name.
A first-time candidate and an open member of the Democratic Socialists of America. So she's a Bernie Sanders socialist.
Socialism.
And she is a former bartender. She was bartending until about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, why does that not surprise me? I know a lot of bartenders. And they're all exactly the same. Con artists. When it comes down to it, con artists. And those of you who are offended, you don't like the fact that you're a con artist. And those of you who are sitting there going, I can see that. At least you're self-aware.
She's a graduate of Boston College, or Boston University rather, in 2011, and she is wildly to the left. When I say she's a leftist, I mean she is an insane leftist. Not only does she believe that Israel is genocidal, she also favors Medicare for all.
But how do you pay for it?
Abolishing immigration and customs enforcement.
And how do you pay for them?
She suggests that there should be a job for everyone provided by the government.
How do you pay for that?
She believes that there should be a minimum wage of $15.
Seriously, I hope that happens. Because fuck it. I want to ride that shit as far as I can. I am going to apply for every gas station attendant job out there. I will be in interviews going, I want the job with the least possible amount of responsibility that I can ever attain. Because $15 an hour, that's fine. But not at the inflation that's going to come, so yeah, I'm still going to have to do the same shit.
She says, quote, when it comes to power, we can't just be tempted by power and money alone. What we need to do is be bold enough and courageous enough to choose leadership that takes no corporate money and advances healthcare, education, and housing for all. So this is another one of her programs, is housing for all.
Now, how do you pay for that? Like, it's a bunch of words. Man, there was a whole lot of words in there, but the part where you can't just be influenced by power and money alone. She's not saying that you don't want to be influenced by power and money. She's saying not only power and money, but other things too. She said that.
So she is a full-scale redistributive socialist. And she's really, really radical. The reason that she won in the district is because nobody came out to vote. Only 5% of registered voters, eligible voters in this district, actually voted in this primary. It was on a really weird day. There were only a grand total of about 27,000 votes in the primary total. She won about 17,000.
There are times when I think our system is kind of flawed, but, you know, if everybody does their part, then the system works. But when nobody does their part, why fucking bother at all?
Of those. Also, Joe Crowley did not take his district particularly seriously. He'd won 10 consecutive terms, so he didn't spend any time in that district. Nonetheless,
that sounds really, really familiar. It's weird. Huh.
This is the dawning of a new era for the Democratic Party. They've fully embraced Bernie Sanders' socialism and Maxine Waters' nuttiness. Here is this new hero of the Democratic Party, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Here she was today after winning the primary. She'll win the general, too, because this is a heavily Democratic district.
Yeah, she'll win, but it doesn't matter that it's Democratic. What matters is that people are starting to want socialism because they don't want to work hard.
Claiming that ICE, right, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is running black sites on the border. Black sites being like CIA sites set up in Jordan to torture people. She thinks that's what's happening on the American border because she's a crazy person.
Dude, why? What would be the point of it? Like, you really have to, you're going to have to show me some very, very skinny Mexican people to make me believe that they're running fucking little Auschwitzes all over the fucking border. You're going to have to show me some form of actual mistreatment. I'm sorry, but locking a child in a room alone is not, no, it doesn't count. Because people do that shit all the time. It's called timeout. Fuck's sake.
I think that ICE is right there as a part of it. It has its extrajudicial nature is baked in to the structure of the agency, and that is why they're able to get away with black sites at our border, with the separation of children. We are committing human rights abuses on this border and separating children from their families.
And seriously, all it takes is for one kid to be locked up with their kidnapper. And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to be screaming the other way. Like they were doing before, years ago, when this happened in the first place. Whatever. We can do this dance back and forth all you like.
Okay, so one of the reasons that Joe Crowley lost this election also, number one, he wasn't radical enough for the district, but number two, one of the things that's been happening in his district is that it's moved so it's now majority-minority district. It's a heavily Hispanic district, and he was one of the last remaining Democrats living in a heavily minority district who was a white guy. So there's been a real shift in racial demographics in this particular district, and that was reflected in this election as well.
I wonder if that's why they want to have so many illegals in the country. Huh.
She is a deep radical, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She will be treated as an up-and-comer. She'll be treated as the new heroine of the left, of course, because she's a pretty young woman, obviously, and also she is talented at what she does. So, I mean, she's a good face for the Democratic Party if you like socialism.
She's a bartender, man. Con artist, everyone.
If socialism is their thing, she's a much more attractive candidate on every possible level than Joe Crowley, except for the fact that she is a radical, insane person. So here she is talking some more in a debate about ICE and trying to go after Joe Crowley's folks, trying to suggest that Joe Crowley is not extreme enough on ICE.
If this organization is as fascist as you have called it,
I've said it's fascist.
and you have said it's fascist, then why don't you adopt the stance to eliminate it? This is a moral problem, and your response has been to apply more paperwork to this situation, to have ICE collect more information on immigrants, and that puts our communities in danger, and it also conveys a profound misunderstanding of how we should be approaching this problem.
See, the awesome thing about that whole clip is she didn't actually say anything other than what you're doing is wrong. I say, what you're doing, that's wrong. There you go. That's what got her elected. You deserve it, fuckers.
She wasn't the only radical who was elected last night. Ben Jealous, who's the former head of the NAACP.
Oh, what a perfect name. Ben Jealous. Seriously, man, you couldn't write this shit.
Won Maryland's Democratic primary for governor on Tuesday, and he promised to deliver an agenda that makes college free, legalizes marijuana, and raises the state's minimum wage to $15 an hour. So the Bernie Sanders full-on Medicare for all, legalized marijuana, raising the state's minimum wage. I don't care about the legalizing marijuana all that much.
I think it would be amazing, and I think that that's how they think they're going to pay for it all. But no, not even fucking close.
But making college free and raising the state minimum wage, all of this stuff is really radical stuff, and you're seeing a significant move, a really heavy move toward the far left among Democrats.
Yeah, so since this shit's happening now, I've decided to kind of look at socialism and see how it's working in the world currently. So, everybody look forward to future videos wherein we look at socialism and see how it's working in the world currently. Spoiler, it isn't.